Let me start off with this. When I was in 6th grade, I had a good friend named Michael. And as every 12-year-old boy, we would tilt our chairs all the time out of boredom in class. Hopefully, none of you will be as bored tonight that you will have to tilt your chairs. I hope the speak will be more inspiring by that. And Michael was by no means as heavy as the elephant. I think the elephant would crack the chair, not actually be able to tilt it in that sense. But before we return to Michael, I want to talk about another pressing issue. Something students take for granted when I talk with them all over the school. Because everyone is talking about doing the summer internship, how to get the best one, which one to consider, and what to apply for. So let's talk about the real elephant in the room. Should we even do an internship in the first place during our summer times? When I met Dave a couple of weeks ago, who's a second-year student at SSE, he told me that he, like many other students, was going to do an internship in investment banking. Of course, I said, congratulations, what a great choice. But then I asked him why he had decided to do an internship in the first place. And he looked at me and he didn't know what to say. He just stared at me and asked me what I meant with why he did an internship this summer. He hadn't realized that he had made an unconscious choice, gone with the flow to do this internship. And he is not the only one. Because when I polled students at SSE, there's only a third who are actually not doing an internship this summer. They instead want to travel and work and enjoy their summer holidays. But what fascinates me the most is actually the other two-thirds. Because those people, they agree that the reasons for the internships are not that they want to pursue these career paths, that they're interested in them. They say that they do it mainly because of peer pressure and company pressure. They don't think that they can pursue their dream careers without it, and that other students will look down on them if they didn't do the internships. So I told Dave about this, and he agreed with me. But then I went back into my data and looked at the poll again, at the students. And here's where it became really, really fascinating. And where I'm kind of geeking out, because as a life coach, this will be super interesting for me. Because the two-thirds of the students who do an internship during the summer, they were less satisfied with their mental health and physical health, their relationships, and their personal growth, according to themselves. They agreed that they didn't know what to do with their free time if they wouldn't do an internship. And they had traded this opportunity to invest in their mental, physical health, relationship, and personal growth with doing the traditional internship. Is this just the way it's going to go? Of course not. And it's very easy to fall into this trap for all of us. It's the easy way to go. But the easy way is not where we're going to go, is it? So, what I ask people instead is, let's consider the end of the summer. I asked Dave, it is the end of the summer. How do you want to feel? Dave says to me that he wants to feel inspired, calm, recharged, relaxed, and the list goes on. And I asked him, well, is the internship a part of this journey? Is it going to get you to your goal? This is when Dave realizes that the internship is actually not his choice. It is an unintended choice that someone else made for him, and he wasn't aware of this. He didn't know that he hadn't done the decision on his own, but that someone else had made it. So what do people want to do instead of doing an internship this summer? Well, the funny thing is that when I talk to people, when I coach youths and students, they say the exact same thing. They say that they fail to have meaningful relationships with their friends and co-students. They say that they have a hard time finding time to exercise, to take that time to invest in their mental health. And they don't see that there is any possibility of squeezing in some time to read or do any other things for their personal growth. Not my words, their words of their own. Before we continue, I'd like to talk about when I was when the coaching first was open to my eyes. Because I met a wonderful woman a couple of years ago named Linda. This very warm-hearted and curious woman opened the eyes for me for coaching in only very few sessions. How coaching can change human behavior. And for those who are not familiar with coaching, I just want to do the very basic stuff. And this is not to say that we don't need therapy at all, because we do. But there are some fundamental differences between coaching and therapy that are very important to consider in this case. Because the common things that we have are powerful questions, active listening, and reframing experiences with language. But then comes the important differences, because therapy deals with the past mainly. Therapists try to help the patients look into their traumas and understand how they can get better, understand themselves in a better way. They give advice on how to deal with struggle, and they consider the person in front of them a patient. Now, this is a much harder work to do. It takes a long time to get this degree. In coaching, instead, we look into the future. We don't wash away the past completely, but we aim totally on the future. Because we see the person in front of us not as a patient, but as a person with unfulfilled potential who just needs help to reach their potential. And the most important thing is that they know the answer themselves to this question. Our questions are just keys to unlock the pockets where the answers are already. It is not our job to give them advice or to tell them what to do with their lives. They know it already. So in coaching, we work with provocative questions. We set ourselves in different situations and try to simulate experiences and feelings and emotions that we want to explore more of. And Linda really showed me how this more positive way of changing human behavior can help people who don't want to go into therapy, but who want to take the way of coaching. And you all can implement this in your life by asking more questions and listening more, because we all can. One exercise I like to do with the people who come to me is the one with the highway. Let's imagine that we're driving down a road, sitting in a car. I ask them, who is driving? What kind of car are we driving? Where are we driving? What color is the car? And then, how are they feeling as a driver? Are they safe, cold, warm, nervous? This is just to get a kickstart, because then it gets harder. Where are we going is the actual pressing question that I ask them. And many people don't know. In a simple exercise like this, people can tell me where they are going with their cars. So we explore. Is it going to be a city? Are we going to go to the beach? Or are we going to end up in the forest? But the most important thing in coaching, how do we want to feel? Do we want to feel warm, safe, maybe adventurous? Maybe you can take some time to make this exercise with a friend or a family member, just to explore where you would end up. When I and Dave did this exercise together, he found out that this internship was not for him, because he had placed himself not in the driver's seat, but to the right of them. That's when he realized that this was not what his summer was going to look like. So he didn't go to the internship. He said that it's unfortunate that he had to go back and he couldn't do it. He hadn't taken into the calculation that the opportunity cost, the time he could have spent doing the things he actually wanted to when he said yes to the internship. He realized he had said no to investing time in himself, his relationship, his hobbies, and so on. And before we end, I want to give you the opportunity to do the same. As I said, I won't give any advice. It is not my job as a coach to give any advice. Together, we do exercises. I ask questions, I listen, but I don't give advice. So how would you like to feel in the end of the summer? Take a second for yourself or talk to your partner. What one word would you use to describe how your summer has looked like? What 3 people will you have met and made a stronger connection with, and why? What 3 core memories do you want to take with you and look back on and say, this was a good summer for me, I feel better? But most importantly, how do you want to have changed as a person when the summer is over? Before we end, one last question. To give you a kickstart on what to do instead of an internship, consider this. What one thing would you do if you did not do an internship and not travel or work? What one hobby or activity would you want to try out? Be it bungee jumping, pottery classes, or creative writing? And why would you want to do that? What has been holding you back for so long to go to that class? And who can you take with you? And let's not end there. What more do you want to try? Because there's always more. The most frequent asked question I use is what more and why? Because that's when we get the actual picture of you, when we look behind the facade. Now, it might have seemed that Michael's story was totally unrelated to what we talked about today. But in fact, it wasn't. Because he was sitting on a chair and he was tilting it, just like we are sitting on our life chair, tilting it. We're putting too much pressure on one of the legs and we risk falling over far too soon. So we have to take the time and spread the weight and distribute it evenly over all the legs. We have to make sure that we are the one driving the car, heading towards the exit that we want to take, and know which one to take. Not just continue driving intentless, not knowing where we go, just going as fast as possible. Let's not let the elephant break the chair, but let's tilt it up again, sit straight, and enjoy this summer. Thank you all.